in the quiet at night, with my heart laid bare, something stirring inside, like a silent prayer. You gave me this flame, a purpose divine. Lord, help me remain in your design. Keep my lamp burning, oh, keep my lamp burning right, keep my lamp burning, oh, till I see your light, till I see your light. Every moment I breathe, every step that I take, all the truth I believe, all the choices I make, you fill me with grace, a vessel refined. Now I seek your face, lead out behind. Keep my lamp burning, oh, keep my lamp.
Hey everybody, good to see you. Thank you for coming. I'm glad you could make it. Tonight's exciting because tonight's about gravity, obviously. And yeah, I want to see if you guys are able to present gravity and show that it actually exists, other than trust me, bro, because you say so. But anyway, it's good to see you all. Thank you for coming. I'm glad you could make it. We are joined by everybody in the YouTube lands because no one's on the panel right now. Oh well. But it's good to see you guys. Let's see who's in. Jedi, what's up, Charles? Good to see you. Better Logic, Roof House, Pentalica, Derek Nelson, Alder Bear, Vicky, hello. PJ Cruikshank, what's up, man? Thank you for coming. Who else did I see there? Carl Apple, hey, glad you can make it. Michael Khan, glad you could be here as well. And then Ivan Mekton, what's up? And sure there was other names there as well before. It's good to see you all there. Thank you for coming. Well, gravity. No, gravity is not real, guys. But yeah, Luca's probably still sleeping. Let's see. I'm downloading a video that we can watch. The Mystery Force Explained by Neil deGrasse Tyson. Let's see. Is it downloaded? Is it working? Yes. Okay, it's working. Cool. Let's see if I can share it. By the way, guys, please hit the likes. Share the show. It's good to see you guys. Really appreciate you all coming. It's sharing. Media player. There we go. I hope it's working. Okay, it's working. Okay, this is not right. Sorry, guys. Just got a technical difficulties. That's better. Just want to change things up a bit. Let's do it that way. Okay. Anyway, do you guys think gravity is real? I don't think so, because like I said last time, when I try to get a scientific hypothesis, well, we couldn't actually agree on what the hypothesis would be to be able to make it a scientific hypothesis, to be able to make a prediction and to have an experiment. So if we can't even get a hypothesis correct for gravity, how are you going to be able to have experiment to claim science for gravity? But yeah, that's what we got last time. Let's see what the poll says, because apparently the poll's impossible to answer. No science for gravity. Yes, 50%, no 50%, and not sure 0%. Now, what's impossible about that poll? It's either you agree there is science for gravity, or you disagree that there's science for gravity. It's not difficult. So if you say yes, there is science for gravity, then you're going to say no. If you say there is science for gravity, you'll say yes. I'm sorry, no. No science for gravity. If there's no science for gravity, you would say yes if you agree there's no science. If you disagree, you'd say no, in other words. It's a catch-22 phrase kind of thing. But yeah, it's good to see you guys. Thank you all for coming again. Please hit the likes, share the show. I really appreciate it. Let's go listen to what Neil deGrasse Tyson has to say about the belief of gravity. Where is it? Okay.
Why do things fall down when you drop them?
Yeah, why?
When you jump up, why do you land on the ground?
Sounds quite rudimentary. Why do things fall down when you drop them? I don't know. Maybe because it's heavier than the air. Why do you could drop back down once you jump up? That's also quite simple, because you're heavier than the air. The air is not able to support you. Not bad. Not bad. Let's see.
Instead of floating off into space.
Space?
Of the four fundamental forces of nature, gravity is the most intuitive one.
Oh,
We
really?
experience gravity every second of our lives, so it makes sense that our brains are evolutionarily equipped to intuitively grasp the effects of gravity.
Okay. I'm going to already stop there. First of all, he already assumed, begged the question that there is space. He also then started talking about nonsense evolution and saying gravity is so normal to us that we don't really question it. Yeah, that's not really how it works. I think the whole gravity thing is just a belief system, because you guys require gravity to be here because you have a spinning ball Earth in space, and if you didn't have gravity, we would be flung off there due to the centrifugal forces, which will throw us into your beloved space. So therefore, you require gravity. And if you didn't have gravity, you wouldn't have a sphere Earth to begin with, because that's what creates your shape. And yeah, it's simple as that. The reason you guys require gravity is because there would be no heliocentric model without gravity. Simple as that. Can you guys point that there is actual science for gravity? No. Can you prove that there's science? No. You want to prove me wrong? The link is above for chat. You can come in and show me that I'm wrong. Simple as that. For now, we'll just watch Neil deGrasse Tyson explain what is gravity.
At least here on Earth. But what is gravity exactly? How does this mysterious force work and affect the fabric of space-time? Why does it affect the very nature of the universe itself?
Wow.
Is the question why even a good scientific question?
Why is not scientific? How is scientific? Because the how is what you're trying to work out when it comes to science. You don't ask why. It comes down to, I observe a natural phenomena. How did that work? How did that happen? So when you say why did that happen, that's just a philosophical question. So that's why you don't say why, you say how. So for instance, when you see this Tippex falling, you're not going to say why did it fall. You say how did it fall? What's the cause for it falling? Why it falls is doesn't really matter. It's how it fell. That's the issue. That's what science is about. So yeah, very simple. Are people moaning this is pathetic? Notice how you're not here to defend your globe released belief of gravity. Um, exactly, Jada. That's exactly. The point is they make crap up. No gravity means no globe. That's exactly the point. If you got no gravity, you got no globe. There we go. Okay. Let's see if we can get it on. But guys, by the way, like I said, please do hit. No, the question is not why, Tentalica. You don't say, why did this fall? Because that's just a philosophical question. Why did it fall? It's the same as asking, why did I pick it up? There's no reason why I picked it up. Maybe the reason is because to demonstrate to you that when I pick it up is why, so I can demonstrate. But how I picked it up is how science works, not why I picked it up. You see? There's a difference. This is why when they say why is not scientific, it's philosophical. Philosophical. Why can I not pronounce that tonight? Philosophical. And therefore, that's not science. That's pseudoscience because it's a belief. It's subjective and not objective.
Science can describe how gravity works.
See? There we go. Thank you. He says science can describe how gravity works, not why gravity works. You see? Thank you, Neil deGrasse Tyson, for literally just validating what I said. Although I don't agree with him that says science can describe gravity works. So let's see what he says.
So this is the how-why duality here. And in science, if we can describe how something works and predict its future behavior, we claim to understand it and we move on. You can ask deeper questions about why is there gravity? What is the meaning? What is the purpose? And go ahead, but I'm good with what I've done and I can land a spacecraft on Mars inside of a crater.
Actually, you can't do that. Sorry, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Sorry to burst your bubble, but that would be violating the second law of thermodynamics. You can't go to space. But obviously, it's part of your belief system. And because you're an astrophysicist, you're required to believe that and to calculate orbital trajectories and gravitational waves and how you would need to land something based on gravitational force. But yeah, he just practically made my point where he says there's a difference between the why and the how. When it comes to science, you're required to know the how, not the why. The why is just philosophical and therefore it's subjective. It's not objective. The how is objective, hence the scientific method, which is empirical. So when you have the scientific method, which is empirical and it's objective, you are able to figure out the cause for the observation observed. So, instance, when you go and once again, you pick this highlighter, Tipex pen up, and you observe that when you let it go, it drops. That's an observation in nature. Now, the hypothesis you're supposed to make is based on how did that fall? What caused that to fall exactly? So the hypothesis should state, okay, what I predict is the reason that causes this to drop. Blah, blah, blah. Now, on your globe, you guys go and claim gravity's the cause. What's up, Matt? Good to see you.
Hey, it's good to see you, brother.
It's a bit soft. Let me see if I can put it louder. There we go. So, what's your thoughts on gravity?
The disequilibrium, relative density equilibrium.
I 100% agree. But do you also agree with me that there is no science for gravity?
Yeah, there's no. Well, I mean, it would depend on how you define gravity. If you're defining gravity as things fall down, then yeah. but mass attracting mass or anything like that, no.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with them giving a name for the acceleration, which is gravity. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because that's just explaining the vector of things falling down, which is down, the acceleration towards Earth.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I mean, it's the definition that
yeah, I've no
really gets
issue with
me.
that. Yeah. The issue I have though is when they want to claim the cause for that. And that cause is not scientific. You understand?
I mean, technically, I think it could be scientific, but what they're claiming is not scientific.
Well,
Like if you can explain a phenomenon that happens and you can do tests with it, like, putting, a golf ball and a ping pong ball and, you know, uh, like oh, a bowling ball or whatever in different, dents of uh, matter or, liquids, and see them float and settle at different points. I mean, that would be a scientific
yeah, but you see that.
observation.
Yeah, but that falls under relative density disequilibrium. Though that doesn't fall under gravity.
Exactly. Well, no, I'm saying if they
Yeah.
said that was gravity, then I could see that being scientific, because that is scientific. You're actually, you know, having
Yeah. The thing is, we're able to do experiments. We're able to do hypothesis, experiment, and demonstrate exactly how relative density disequilibrium works.
yeah,
The only thing they got for gravity is trust me, let me do maths. That's
yeah. I
it.
don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. That is not an explanation.
Yeah, I mean,
Math is not an explanation.
yeah, it's just a language.
Yeah.
It's just like talking. That's all that maths is. So when it describes a certain thing, phenomena, you could say, mathematically, it's just talking. It's just like we are talking now, saying like I'm saying, okay, I've picked up this pen and I'm dropping it. Mathematically, you can describe that happening, but the
You
point
can, and
comes
you can
to
you can read the rate of fall and all of that. Yeah, you could do that.
exactly the point comes to where you're claiming what's the cause for that,
Yeah, and
and they don't have a cause for that.
yeah, well, they say they have a cause, but
Yeah, but what's the cause?
their explanation does not make sense.
Yeah, but like this is what we keep getting stuck with though. When they're like, okay, what is your cause for gravity? They get stuck because that's why whenever we like pitch this to them and it goes on, you actually go through the hypothesis, they end up claiming gravity causes gravity.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't agree with that. That's not the case.
So yeah, it's quite insane. But let's carry on with the video a bit and see what deGrasse Tyson has further to say.
In a hole-in-one, using my understanding of gravity, so I'm pretty good with it. So I'm not distracted by the more philosophical side of that. Why does it work?
See, why is philosophical?
Gravity is a natural phenomenon by which all things with mass or energy, including planets, stars, galaxies, and even light, gravitate toward one another.
Okay, I have to ask you something. Do they claim light is massless?
I don't know, man. Do they claim that light is a photon or a wave?
Yeah, but that's the thing. But you see, they claim that light is massless, and that's why it's able to travel at the speed of light. So if they're claiming gravity is the cause for mass to take a path, a curved path in a curved geodesic, that requires light to have mass then, if it's claiming to bend light. So that doesn't make sense. That's a contradiction though. Because
Yeah,
how
the
is
only time I've ever seen light bend is with I've seen like people bend lasers with like magnets.
I've seen that. Obviously you can
But
refract light. You can also reflect light in a
yeah,
like
yeah.
a sugar container or sugarized water or
Well, your
salinity
lens,
water.
whatever lens you're projecting it through, it's gonna cause different effects.
Yeah, refraction's a real thing.
Yeah.
Hey, give me 2 seconds. My daughter just needs a Spoon.
You're good, brother.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone
Sorry
says
about that, guys.
gravity is the cause
Okay.
of mass.
Who says gravity is the cause for mass? No one. You guys says mass attracts mass. That's the thing. I think they're so incoherent. Nobody really settles down on the same definition for what is gravity.
I think that actually that question, that's a funny question because you just said it. When when it all comes back around, they say gravity causes gravity. So, what was the cause for the first gravity?
Quite sad. But the votes so far, 47 votes. No science for gravity. Yes, 43%. No, 55%. Not sure, 2%. If anybody in chat wants to come and show us that there is science for gravity, do come and present. We'll put it up on board and everything, and we'll go through it step by step with you guys and see exactly if we can even get past the hypothesis. How's that sound?
Sounds awesome to me. I just don't know if any of these guys got the cojones to step up.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to spend time with my daughter right now because she's supposed to be sleeping, HDMI. She should have been sleeping an hour and a half ago. Everyone's like, oh, you don't spend time with your family. Instead, you do. Yeah, we do this while they sleep.
What is it, like 9:30 for you right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, quite sad. Okay, let's see if we can. It's amazing how scared the Globies are to come and present their belief system.
Modern work on gravitational theory began with the work of Galileo Galilei in the late 16th and early 17th centuries. In his famous experiment dropping balls from the Tower of Pisa, and later with careful measurements of balls rolling down inclines, Galileo showed that gravitational acceleration is the same for all objects.
Is that so? Same for all objects. Remember, he used like a different size balls. All balls, how can I say, aerodynamically the same. I mean, what would have happened if we, for instance, took a cricket ball and he took a ping pong ball? They wouldn't accelerate at the same rate.
No, they would not.
They both have mass.
In fact, the ping pong ball itself, it would reach its well, I mean that's the thing. The ping pong ball would reach its maximum what do you call that? The rate that it falls. Maximum velocity. It would reach its maximum velocity before the heavier ball. So it would slow down as it fell.
But I mean, it's quite telling that Galileo didn't really put too much thought into his proposition, because at the end of the day, it was just a gimmick. If he really took more thought into it, he would have come up to the conclusion that, well, the density ratio between the medium and the object will make the difference.
Exactly. But that's actually what they taught us, like me at least in school. They actually taught us that everything falls at the same rate.
Because we all know that they never had any vacuums in those days, vacuum chambers. So I do find it a bit dishonest that he just took two weighted balls and dropped them and said, look, they fall at the same rate, according to our eyes, by the way, and then calculated C, so therefore gravity. No. What happens if they drop those two same objects in a pond or a lake? Or how about if they took those same balls and went to the Dead Sea and did the same thing? What would happen?
Wow. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's even funny because I'm a fisherman, and I know like the weights of like the my sinkers and whatnot that I use.
Mm-hmm.
It,
No, I mean everybody knows
a
if
large
you
sinker is going to drop fast. If you use a smaller sinker, you can actually cast it out there in the water and watch it slowly.
yeah, it actually keeps it up a bit. I mean, that's why usually when you go to the sea and you do fishing on the seashore, you have a bit of a heavier weight.
Yeah,
sinking.
big heavy weight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then usually when you go to like a little river that's not really flowing really much, it also depends on what type of fish you want to catch. Then you have a
Yep.
sinker that doesn't really sink to the bottom.
Yep.
And then you have different sinkers that you want to sink to the bottom. You understand? So it all depends on the different shapes and weights of the sinker.
Yeah.
And that's all got to do with the relationship with the medium it's in, which is the water. So it's really sad that the guy didn't really have any controls for his so-called experiment. He did what globies do best. Beg the question, make assumptions, and then cherry pick data, and then make a claim out of that cherry pick data. So it's correlation based, it's not causation based. And therefore it's not science. What's up, Terror? Good to see you, man. Jolly man, what's up? Good to see you guys. Guys, please hit the likes. Share the show. Really appreciate you all. But yeah, it's sad that we don't have any globies coming in to present their evidence for gravity.
This contradicted Aristotle's belief that heavier objects have higher gravitational acceleration. Galileo postulated air resistance as the reason that objects with low density and a high surface area fall more slowly in an atmosphere. Galileo's work said
So Archimedes' principle, well done. So relative density disequilibrium, not
Yeah, I was about to say, what's an atmosphere? I mean, come on.
So it's actually funny that they still want to use that and postulate gravity. I mean, you can clearly see when you today you can actually take an object and you can stick it in a vacuum chamber on a scale, and when you remove the air, it gets lighter. Wait, or does it get heavier? I can't remember. We got.
I think it gets heavier. It gets
heavier. I think it got heavier.
Yeah, it gets heavier.
Sorry, it
yeah.
gets heavier, not lighter, heavier. But I want to ask you a question. If gravity is the reason for things pulling it down, why does the weight change when you remove the medium?
It has no resistance. I mean,
Yeah, but that tells you the air as well doesn't specifically push down on the object.
yeah. It's not pushing down, it's just an effect.
Mm-hmm. It's not my job to refute anything, guys. It's your job to come present your globe belief system. We're just showing you how it's not scientific. You guys claim it is. So it's got nothing to do with us as the burden of proof to show anything other than just show you guys that your logic is flawed and you have no science. That's it.
Exactly. They're making the positive claim. We're not making any claim.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, we're just giving an alternative explanation that is actually how. I mean, we're not really giving an alternative explanation. We're giving the actual explanation of what we can see, feel, touch, observe. I mean, and isn't that science?
Yeah.
See, feel, touch, observe, do tests.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we are able to show experiments and demonstrations where if you just change the ratio between the object and the medium it's in, it would cause an acceleration. So therefore, already it shows that gravity is not the cause for this acceleration. The unfortunate thing is that Newton decided to hijack Archimedes' principle 1,900 years later and make a claim that weight is due to gravity. Now that's another bold claim. Just because you claim weight is due to gravity, you have to prove that, correct? Not just say that. Because the only argument I've ever got for that is, well, you see in this equation, that weight is due to gravity. Great, it's in the equation, but now you must prove to us that weight is being caused by gravity. How do you prove that?
Well, it's because of our molten magnetic iron core. I've heard them
Yeah.
claim that before, but if anybody knows anything about metal or magnets, as soon as it melts, it's past the Curie point and it loses all magnetism. It has no attraction or diffraction. Like, there's
Yeah. Wesley, I did try to come up with an equation. It didn't exactly work out 100%. I started it at a stage and then I fizzled out because I got busy with other stuff and other things to worry about. So maybe I'll do it someday again. But right now, it's not really on my mind to worry about an equation. So yeah, any globies want to come on and challenge this, show us how gravity is scientific.
The stage for the formulation of Newton's theory of gravity. In 1687, Sir Isaac Newton published Principia, which hypothesizes the inverse square law of universal gravitation. In Newton's own words, I deduced that the forces which keep the planets in their orbs must be reciprocally as the squares of their distances from the centers about which they revolve.
Great, thank you, Newton. Matt, do you see the issue with that?
I'm sorry, I was looking at the chat.
Do you see the issue with that statement
Oh.
made by Newton? First of all, he says, I deduced that the forces which keep the planets in their orbits, so he's already begging the question.
Yep.
About the planets, he's begging the question that they're in orbit. And then he's begging the question that there is a force based on the distance and their mass which keep them in those orbits. There's no science there.
No, there's only there's only
And-
observations of the lights in the sky, and we can see that what they call the quote unquote planets, they speed up and slow down. That's why they're called the wandering stars. So
Yes. But I love how he says, I deduced. So in other words, he had an opinion.
yeah,
He came up to his opinion that there were forces. There
he
wasn't science.
deducted alternative ideas for how it worked.
So that's, again, not science.
But-
That's subjective, not objective.
I don't even see how that would work, though. I don't even see how that statement would make sense to anyone that he was talking to. They should have looked at him and been like, "What's wrong with you?"
Well, that's exactly why he says he wouldn't want to be ascribed to such an asinine thought, because he couldn't really. He found it absurdity to think that there is an invisible force that's not really there, that he can't really explain, that would keep all these, almost like infinity glued together, you could say.
Was it him or Einstein that said, as far as all observations, it looks like the Earth is the center,
Mm-hmm.
but philosophically, we can't go down that road, or I can't remember the exact quote. But basically said the Earth being in the center would mean basically there's a God and we're accountable for our actions, and if we take that in mind, then God has to exist and God doesn't exist, so this is the way it works.
Exactly. Hey, Sleeping Warriors in the house. What's up, man? Good to see you. But yeah, I find this statement that's put up there, everything that shows why gravity is pseudoscience. There's nothing there that shows it's scientific. There's nothing there that shows it's just based on empirical measurements. It just shows it is based on subjective begging the question. That's it.
Yeah.
It's all correlative. I mean, What are the planets, first of all? At the moment, they're just lights in the sky.
Lights in the sky.
That's all we observe. And these guys are making deductions that it's terra firma. And then they beg the question again and say, well, because we have this light in the sky. What's up, Sov? Good to see you.
Hey, so
Heard something
Good,
about
good, good.
somebody
We're
had
waiting for
scientific-
Globus. Yeah, we're waiting for Globus to come and present their science to us, but they're all too scared to come in. So we're sitting here laughing at Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about gravity.
All this based on assumptions of orbits and things. How
Mhm.
weird.
Exactly. Yeah, we see no science. That's the whole point of this. And the Globies just are too scared to come and defend their religious belief on this. And that tells you one thing. Oh, Solve dropped again.
Yeah, my VPN had to restart. Now my camera's not working. What the? It's always something, man. There you go.
It's a conspiracy.
These little doodads here, all this crap it fits into these little holes. Here we go. Camera disconnect. Connect.
yeah, McGroove House.
Thereby compared the force requisite to keep the moon in her orb with the force of gravity at the surface of the Earth, and found them answer pretty nearly.
Okay. Again, even that second part of that statement showed my point right. That just the basing assumption and correlation. So he made a deduction which was subjective, not objective, made begging the question claims that there are such things as planets in space orbiting and that there's a force of gravity keeping those orbits working due to the mass of the object and the distance between them. All these things are just assumptive based and correlative based. There is no science for this. And then when he made this equation up to describe that, it didn't mean that it was so scientific. He was just describing his assumption. He's describing his pseudo-scientific belief. That's it. Hence, no science. So, is gravity a force? Nope. Hasn't been seen as a force for over 110 years, thanks to Einstein and general relativity. So, should you still be able to, should you still be pushing Newtonian gravity then? Hey, Frank, what's up, man? Good to see you. Yeah, the poll is just a catch-22 kind of thing again. It doesn't really matter what you choose. They all end up being the same answer.
HT, meteorology is based off pressure differentials. It has nothing to do with.
Yeah, the meteorology literally requires a contained system.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got 63 votes already. No science for gravity. Yes, 41%. No, 57%. Not sure, 2%. I want to ask a question. Wesley's saying it is a force. It's an apparent force. Is there a difference between an actual force and a pseudo force?
Oh, let me look up what metrology is. I thought maybe just.
Oh, metrology. I thought meteorology. Okay. Metrology. What's metrology? Metrology. Let's see what's metrology. It's the science and measurements encompassing the establishment and maintenance of weights and measures as a basis for accurate measurements worldwide. It It involves the theory, units, procedures, and instruments to quantify various attributes. Metrology is divided into three main categories: scientific, industrial, and legal. Okay. Scientific metrology focuses on developing and managing measurement systems, including the establishment of fundamental units of measurement. Okay, let's go look more scientific. Oh, maybe I should share the screen. That might help. This is what we just read. So let's get scientific metrology. So, scientific metrology is a branch of metrology focused on establishing and maintaining a uniform worldwide management system. Okay, that's all it does. So it's just making a standardized measurement system. What's that got to do with science, though?
What does that have to do with gravity?
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm trying to figure out what the correlation is to this. It's just so people can come together and say, hey, guys, if we say this unit, we all understand it's this unit. So don't really see anything special about really what they brought up.
Ryan, what's up, brother?
Never said I'm smarter than Newton or Einstein. That's quite sad. But one thing I do know is they weren't scientists. They were pseudoscientists.
The science of measurement of weight.
It's Restream.
It's Restream.
Yeah, Restream's what's making my camera won't come on. Because I tried some other shit and it worked on everything else. But
you might have to drop and come in. I don't know. This is the issue I have with StreamYard sometimes. And that's why I don't have StreamYard, because that's what happens with me. It doesn't let me change my mic settings or my camera, nothing. It
let me
won't
drop
give me
out. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's sad. I don't know why it does it. Everybody has different issues on different platforms for some odd reason.
I think it's also probably the devices we use. Certain devices don't work well with other platforms.
Yeah, it could be. Because I've been having quite issues with, like I said, with StreamYard. Yeah, and that's why I haven't used StreamYard. That's why I went over to Restream, because I've been finding I've had no issues with Restream, but other people have sometimes. So it's really odd.
Huh.
There, it's working now.
No, it works. Boobs.
It's actually 80085. But
yep, we always used to take it on the calculator and type it in as.
Yeah.
It was like the funniest thing as children.
Oh yeah, look, I can do hell too. You know.
Yeah.
7734. Now flip it upside down.
Yeah, we used to like saying boobless.
Oh yeah, those are good ones.
But yeah, anyway, Soft, did you hear about Ozian?
No, I did not.
Yeah, he was convicted for some pretty sick stuff.
No, what? Tell me. Do tell.
Let me get it up for you, because it is all over the news now. So we might as well.
Oh, it is all over the news. Wow.
Might as well present it everywhere. Let me see if I can get the history up quickly to get. Because you know what's funny about this? All the Globies are now, the Globe community is like, we are disowning him. He's so sick. We want nothing to do with this guy anymore. He's an embarrassment to us. But
wait till Toon gets arrested and see what they say.
But you know what's funny about that? What happens when a flat earther, for instance, they don't agree with something a flat earther has done? Let's take ODD, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
How they go, everybody's now criminals and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But now this that's come out.
Oh,
What
it's
happened with
time for
ODD?
generalization now. You might as well generalize. That's what we do, right? So we can assume that all these flat Earth haters are exactly the same as this guy.
I'm just trying to see, get that link quickly.
Let me go mute
What
this.
happened with ODD? What came out about him?
He was it was something to do with drugs, I think.
Was that like years ago or?
Yeah, ages ago.
Yeah. I mean, I knew about that.
I had a delay going.
I'm gonna stick it. I'm gonna give you guys the link in the. I'm not gonna stick it on screen, obviously, but I'll put the link in for everybody. I'm just gonna read it out. I'm not gonna read his name. He's 51 years old, Altoona. PA pleaded guilty to lesser offense of 4th-degree felony attempted compelling prostitution and 4th-degree felony attempted unlawful sexual conduct with a minor. Was sentencing set up for September 6th. That was 2023, I think. Yeah. Charges for possessing criminal tools and engaging in prostitution will be dismissed. He was accused of responding to an undercover ad on a known prostitution website and arranging for sexual conduct and activity with a 15-year-old in exchange for $280, arriving in East Palestine on November 6, 2023 for the meeting.
Wow.
Oh, that's what David Banner says. Yeah, ODD was drunk at a party and touched some middle-aged woman. That was it. I think this is a lot worse
okay,
than
I
that.
didn't know about that. Yeah,
Trying to hook up
that,
with a 15-year-old, huh? And
He
he's
tried to
50.
hook up with it. Yeah, apparently he went to Ohio with condoms to, yeah.
Mm.
And it was an undercover operation.
Oh my word!
So they
Well,
called
see,
him out.
that's definitely that put a crimp on matters now. I would imagine.
Oh yeah, Matters Now doesn't exist. There's no content there. It's taken down. There has been a whole thing between him and Max between this as well. Because remember they had the joint sharing.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is this all happened the same time that Ozian blocked and kicked me off Matters Now when I was debating Brenda and called him a man. Telling me I'm a sick individual and I'm disgusting and
Man, they're just falling like flies, man.
Don't you guys find it odd that all the credibility of all these anti-flat earthers are starting to show face?
Yeah, man.
I mean, look how sad it is for Jared now as well.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I'm glad it is because I was a big follower of Jaren.
Oh, he sent me a message on Instant Messenger the other day. Big long paragraph, and it started out with, "This is why you sound retarded." I just went block.
Yep, man. He sent me one on Telegram. He sent me one on Telegram like this. It was like, I don't know. It looked like 15 paragraphs. It might have just been like 5, but I was just like, I'm not even reading this stuff.
No.
He told me that I was believing in the ramblings of old men and that I was being deceived and needed to turn my life around. I read like the first paragraph and was like, I'm not reading the rest of this crap, dude.
What you need to do is you need to videotape yourself doing really raunchy shit with a doll. That's what you need to do.
But yeah, it's really something. That's all I can say.
Well, like I said,
but remember what we usually say, guys. Think of all the serial rapists and serial killers and terrorists out there and stuff. Are they globies or flat earthers?
Yeah, they're globies, man. Listen, that's why I say save lives. Every serial killer in history was a globe earther. Save lives. Study flat earth, man.
Yeah, it's quite
what's his
bad.
name that turned his life around in prison? He was it? I can't remember who it was. If it was Jeffrey Dahmer or somebody, and they like found God and like when they went to prison and read the
that was
Sam
Wood.
David Berkowitz.
David Wood as well.
Oh yeah, David Berkowitz.
Well, they said they asked him why how he could commit those crimes, before he went to prison, and he said, I didn't think there was consequences for my actions.
Wow. Okay, that's different. No, with David Wood, he practically, I think he beat his dad to death with a crowbar or something.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah, because he even admits to being a psychopath and stuff. So he said he didn't even feel remorse or anything. But then he found God in prison, and well, today he's one of the most loving Christians you can get.
Yeah. I got that.
Yeah, that's
real
why
quick.
I don't
David
judge anybody for their past. That's
Yeah, and
why I
that's
just
why
really
I
try
think
to.
I find it's really disgusting what Ozzy did and everything. But I want to give a different take on what the Globies are doing because they're all just disowning him now and stuff. I'm saying everybody does things that they regret. He obviously regrets what he did. It's sick, not justifying his acts because it is sick, but they also have to understand that people can change.
Yeah.
Maybe in prison now he will change. You don't know. Maybe he'll get a new leaf. I do find it very ironic that the same people that are always playing holier than thou are the ones
Yeah.
that are the ones getting all this happening. So it's
You
funny.
know, but that one thing, that's one of my hardest things. If I find out about somebody, that's one of my hardest things. I mean, if I found out somebody did that in the past, even if it'd been like 15 years ago, I wouldn't want them around my kids.
Yeah. Obviously, no. You would always have the doubt in your head as well.
Yeah.
I mean, what
Now,
goes through
I
my
mean,
head
like
is
now, like somebody that killed someone. Well, I mean, I have people in my life that have killed, people and served time, and did, but their reasoning for doing it was whatever. But uh, they're not bad people, and I don't even think they were bad people in the moment that they actually might have committed those crimes.
Mhm. The thing
Like,
is that
my grandfather, or my step grandfather, he killed, and this is, I mean, you could look this stuff up. This isn't anything, but somebody did something to his daughter, and he tracked that guy down and took care of it right after. I mean, it was like right after it happened. So, and he went to prison, ended up pretty much living at the mayor's house, doing like odd jobs for him his entire prison stint.
Mhm.
So he didn't even have to sleep in a cell. So, like, he was respected and understood for what he did, but still had to do his time.
You remember this guy, the son of Sam, serial killer guy, right?
Yeah,
Check this
yeah.
out.
I had a lot of, mental health issues. I really was losing my mind. I had become schizophrenic, and I believe that was a result of the demons that were really inside of me and working, and that I opened myself up to. And 10 years into my prison sentences, I'm struggling, to survive day by day. Along comes this fellow, and he said, "Listen, I know about your case and everything, but I would like to just tell you that Jesus Christ loves you and he's got a plan and purpose for your life." And I said, "Yeah, okay, I've heard that before, but there's no way God could love me. I've done too many things that are bad. There's no way God could forgive me." He says, "No, David, you're wrong. God wants to forgive you. And he sent me here to tell you that." And suddenly, once again, it was around midnight, in the darkness of my cell, I got down on my knees on the concrete floor, and I just began to pour my heart out to the Lord. The Bible says, "Whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved." He promises to every man and woman throughout the ages of time, whoever puts their trust in the Lord Jesus Christ, not only are they going to receive forgiveness of sins, but they're going to start a whole new life. One day I see the Lord Jesus Christ face to face. I'm going to look into his eyes and say, "Thank you, Jesus. Thank you so much for saving a wretch like me." And then my message has always been that if he could do it for someone like me, who was one of the chief of sinners, he could do it for anybody who just put their trust.
Amen. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
Great testimony.
Good
Yeah,
old
because I think a lot of people make up their mind on someone
Yeah.
quite quickly, and then they keep with that instead of, I don't know, taking it for the long run kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a great testimony.
see, download that so I don't have to search
I
for it.
wonder if like a lot of those people, like they're just like super neglected, and if they just had a friend to talk to, like they wouldn't do it. You know?
And a lot of time, a lot of them come from like broken households.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you've seen it, I mean, I've seen a lot of people in prison where most of them don't have father figures, or they have broken families, or their
Mhm.
mother just left them, you know, or anything. But yeah, it's usually from a broken household that this happens, because it's like, or they learned from their parents the same thing. It's quite an interesting thing.
Yeah, I do believe that he was demonically influenced. I really do, and he said as much when he was after he was caught. You know, I mean, it covered a lot of ties to the occult and such, and boom, and look, he found him in prison there again. That's why I said God's not hanging out at church, man. He's not. God's hanging around at the prisons. He's hanging around where there's people that can be saved at, not people that already got it or think they got it.
Yeah, it's true.
And it doesn't just mean going regular attendance to a certain building once a week either.
Well, yeah, well, that's what I usually say. You can sleep in the garage; it's not going to make you a car. So going to church is not going to make you a Christian.
That's right. That's a good one. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good.
The Bible D says, so Flats, he repented and found Jesus. If he died right after that interview, would he be saved or judged? Everybody gets judged.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is not under judgment. But yes, he would be saved, because that's what the Bible says. John 3:16, if whosoever believes on him shall not perish but have eternal life. So yes, if you declare Jesus Lord and Savior, he'll be saved.
People like to think that that's a get out of jail free card. But once you've come to the Lord,
Intent.
once you've been saved, that means that even if it's a baptism, that's a rebirth into a new life. So you don't get to go, oh, well, yeah, well, I'm already saved, so I can just do whatever the hell I want to.
Do
now.
whatever I
It doesn't
want.
work
Yeah,
like that.
that's what
It's got to do with the intent. That's
Yep.
why God reads your heart.
Yep.
I mean, why do you think God says he'll spit lukewarm believers out? Because their intent of their heart is, well, I'm saved, so I can just carry on sinning and going on what I want to.
Right.
God's just going to forgive me anyway.
Oh my God, my mother-in-law was like that. She goes, she would do something knowing full well it was wrong and then fall back on, well, nobody's perfect except Jesus. And, you know, it's like, no, you don't get to do that. You knew it was wrong when you embarked on it. So, no.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they were preaching at the last church I attended, and that's probably like 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I just like I realized what they were doing there, and I just walked away from it. I said I just can't go into any of these buildings anymore. I can't trust these pastors.
The thing
'Cause
is,
they're
there's so much things going on. I mean, I just heard now, like the other day, the church where my mom and them are going, the pastor had to leave because he was having an affair with the one woman there. And you're thinking, like, me and you're the pastor, you got a whole family, you got children. That woman's also got a family and children. Now those two households are broken up totally. They're totally out of jobs now doing this. Their reputation is totally shot now. All for what? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, it was crazy.
For something, gratification of the flesh, worldly, the worldly thing. You throw yourself, you can so destroy yourself just by indulging in the worldly things. When you start putting the physical over the spiritual, that's when you start running into problems. And that's what the whole upside down pentagram is, man.
But that's what I'm saying. But now the thing is, the children learn this. Now when they grow up, they probably follow in the same footsteps, because it's like that's the role model they got.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's what they learned. That's how they're gonna try to be. Yeah.
Messed up.
That was getting me too. I've always said this, and I ran across somebody else who finally saw him say it. Is I used to watch these Catholics do this with the cross over there. I said, "Do you know that's an upside down cross?"
Yeah, upside. Yeah.
Trace it out. Trace it out. It's an upside down cross. What are you doing?
Yeah. see they're still going on about gravity in chat, but none of them are coming in to talk to us about gravity.
There is no such thing as gravity. Gravitas, a Greek word, it means weight. What is weight?
Just give
Weight
weight,
is the
yeah.
quantification of the relative density of an object within a given medium. If you change the medium, you change the weight. There it is.
Simple as that.
Same reason you can have a pool of gasoline and a pool of water. You'll float in that pool of water. You'll sink in that gasoline.
Um,
I've never
Let
jumped
me
into
bring
gas,
up
so I don't know.
You what now?
I said I never jumped into gas, so I don't know.
Well, you don't need to. You can actually do experiments to show that. It's why you use small animals instead.
Yeah.
No, you don't use small animals.
No.
Okay.
I'll use Fabio. What about you, Fabio? You want to swim in the gas?
Okay, let's watch some of this and then see if they have anything to say on this. Maybe this will cause someone to come in.
What would happen if there was a boat floating on the surface of the liquid right when it turns supercritical? What happens to the boat? Does it just stay right where it was floating before? Or would it now float to the top since the whole tank is now filled? Or would it sink to the bottom because there's no layer of liquid to float on?
So we're gonna fill up regular water. And then we're gonna dab the egg in there. Let's see what happens. Then we're gonna fill up second with water, but put salt in there and mix it. As you can see, it floats. Put a lot of salt in there. Put water up in there. A little bit more than half full in the
Before
salt.
we go on, are they changing gravity here?
No.
Okay.
Water. As you can see, it floats. Now we're gonna get fresh water and put on top of it. Let's see what happens. You see egg floating in the middle. Tell me why. Why does that happen? This one floating on top, this one down, and this one floating in the middle.
Here's a fun question for Riley. What's denser, an egg or water? If all that matters is relative density, then the egg should sink.
Funny you should ask that question. Today's video will be doing a little bit of science, and we will be observing how we can manipulate the medium by changing the density and create a force. Newton said, where there is an acceleration, a force must be present.
Between the density of the egg equal to the density of the medium it's in. But what Nora says is, he equates cause with that which one manipulates. Well, your independent variable is the variable that is manipulated by the researcher in an experiment. It is the presumed cause.
Stop. The reason he's talking about this again is because he hasn't mentioned it here, but I think in this experiment, this video, they actually poured the salt in. So I think he's claiming you can change the density of the medium, and therefore that is the cause, or his independent variable is how much salt you've poured in. He hasn't mentioned this, of course, but I think that's actually what he's trying to get at. I mean, I know it seems insane what he's saying here about you've got the
Whatever
density
happened to
in it.
Rumpus though? He just like vanished into thin air. I think the reason he ran away is because he hasn't done his Bedford level experiment that he said he was going to do. Because he always had an excuse for doing it. It's quite sad.
But he actually means that that's because he's been pouring salt into it or not.
Yeah, exactly. You obviously do have the control over the density, but where's the connection from that to density is a force?
Yeah, I mean, just...
Those in the chat.
Hey, Dal, check here. Look, I'm going to quickly debunk you in 10 seconds. You know what that's called? Unbalanced force. No acceleration required. You're welcome. Literally, that's relative density to equilibrium and debunks your whole argument. You require an acceleration. I didn't have acceleration now. I had an unbalanced force. Thank you very much. Because what happens is the object is unbalanced with the air around it, the medium around it. That's why we have densities. Not because you have acceleration, it's because it's unbalanced force. Now, when you drop something like a water bottle with everything inside the water bottle, it's explained to you. It drops at the same rate. So it all has the same net force of same vector, same amount of force. It wouldn't separate. I can't help it. You're just too ignorant to understand this.
There's
Exactly.
no causal relation there.
Exactly. He's just gone off wildly into this quantum eraser dogma land where they prefer to live about dependent variables. And so he's just trying to prove forces because there's an effect as a result of changing the independent variable, i.e. the thing that is the cause in his mind. Although, of course, he doesn't like the idea of any cause has more than one factor because, of course, you've got the density of the liquid, you've got the force of gravity. In other words, there are multiple factors, and he can't cope with that. Like Nathan doesn't understand that an effect is the result of more than one or more than one factor. And
Yeah,
so
apparently he doesn't understand that an equation can contain more than two factors.
Yeah. Yes, more than one factor. No,
yeah, more than one factor actually.
Yeah, exactly right.
So we've got his words. We'll come back to them in a minute. It's clear that we need a definition or two for the rumpus. Let's not cherry pick one. Let's go with, say, 10. And let's see if there's a common theme for what is an independent variable.
I love the spot. I mean, we always get the Globus saying, no, you don't need to require to change the IV to get the DV. Yeah, well, many citations say you're wrong.
Yeah.
Actually, all citations say so.
Yeah.
We're looking for what it is and the effect that it has on an experiment. Let's see whether his words were correct.
From Colorado Science and Engineering Fair, the independent variable is the variable which an experimenter deliberately manipulates in an experiment.
From Penn State University, there should be three types of variables in every experiment: the dependent, independent, and the controlled. The independent variable is what is varied during the experiment. It is what the investigator thinks will affect the dependent variable.
From explorable.com, the independent variable. This is what you change in order to provide a result. The dependent variable. This is what you are measuring.
From award-winning awardco.com, an independent variable is the variable that is changed or controlled in a scientific experiment to test the effects on the dependent variable.
From the University of North Carolina. In an experiment, the independent variable is the variable that is varied or manipulated by the researcher, and the dependent variable is the response that is measured. An independent variable is the presumed cause, and the dependent variable is the presumed effect. In experiments, the independent variable is the variable that is controlled and manipulated by the experimenter, whereas the dependent variable is not manipulated. Instead, the dependent variable is observed or measured for variation as a presumed result of the variation in the independent variable.
According to the GCSE citation in experiments, variables are used to help determine the cause and the effect. An independent variable can be thought of as the cause of change. A dependent variable is what is affected by the independent variable. There can only be one independent variable and one dependent variable in an experiment. Everything else that can...
I love this one. Because a lot of the times they come to us and they're like, oh, but you can have more than one independent variable. They always come, oh, you can have more than one independent variable. No, you can't. Because if it becomes more than one independent variable, then it's correlation based. Because how are you going to know which one caused the observation?
Well, independent means single.
Yes. It's the cause for the observed phenomena.
Right.
I mean, if you have multiple causes, how are you going to know which one was the cause? That's why you do multiple experiments. You can have an experiment and say, okay, this could be a cause, this could also be a cause. So you have one experiment with that cause to see. Then you have another hypothesis with another cause to see if that also has an effect on the phenomena. Because yes, sometimes you could have multiple causes for the same effect.
Yep.
But the thing is, you need to do them independently. Otherwise, it is only correlation based, not causation.
Impact the experiment must be kept constant or controlled. These are known as controls. The independent variable is controlled by you. In other words, you can manipulate the independent variable during an experiment to discover what effect it has on the other variables. This is the cause.
From practicalphysics.org, that's the Institute of Physics. The independent variable is the variable that is deliberately changed by the experimenter. The dependent variable, an outcome variable that is measured each time the independent variable is changed.
From the University of Southern California, the dependent variable is the presumed effect. The independent variable is systematically manipulated by the investigator. It is the presumed cause.
From Indiana University, independent variables are felt to cause some change in the dependent variables. They are manipulated by the researcher. Dependent variables are felt to be affected by independent variables. They are measured by the experimenter and are normally responses of the subjects.
By sciencing.com, the independent variable is the variable that the scientist changes during the experiment. Think of the experiment as a cause and effect exercise. The independent variable is the cause factor.
This is an egg.
I love that. So yeah, based on just those citations alone, what was the theme that was read out? You need to manipulate the independent variable.
That's it.
So when we ask about gravity, what's the independent variable? They don't have one independent variable. So gravity is not science, guys. There is no science for gravity because you don't have a independent variable for gravity. Quite sad.
This is a parts per million counter. Inspired by Jaron's most recent video. If you haven't checked it out, go to his channel, and it's called something like How and Why I Drink Distilled Water. He used one of these and he measured the amount of particulates per million in his tap water. I decided that I could apply what he used, this little bit of technology, not science, this is technology. I could apply this technology and I could perform a practical scientific experiment where I could measure the density of a medium, in this case water, and I can make this egg move all by itself with just a little bit of salt. I can observe my phenomena to be that some objects appear to float, some objects appear to sink, some objects will suspend in different mediums. My hypothesis is if I change the medium's density, the egg will move. Newton said, if an object moves, a force is present.
Great. I want to point out, you see, that's hypothesis because what do you have in the hypothesis? You have a prediction. You have a stated cause for an effect. So what is the prediction? His prediction is if I cause the medium change, the egg will accelerate. So therefore, he's got in his hypothesis, he's got his prediction, what will happen, and he's got his cause, which is the IV, and he's got his DV, which is the observed phenomena. Globies don't have this. Globies don't have this hypothesis for gravity. Hence the other night when it's like, okay, let's put out your gravity. So mass attracts mass. That's not a hypothesis. That's why I say mass attracting mass is not a hypothesis.
It's a myth.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, does mass attract mass give a prediction? No. Does mass attract a mass give an IV for a DV? No. Does mass give a prediction? No. All it says is mass attracts mass. Great. Buses probably attract to trucks. What the hell? It's got nothing. It's literally, there's no substance in those so-called hypotheses.
No. And
My
nobody's
null
ever.
hypothesis is that if
I said nobody's ever witnessed that in nature.
Nope. Exactly.
if I change the density of the medium, the egg will not move. I will activate one of the hypotheses. My independent variable, my presumed cause that I must manipulate in an experiment, is the density of the medium. My dependent variable is the movement of the egg. I will also try and keep everything else constant. The volumes of water, not no change, just the density of the medium. What I'm now going to try and prove is that if I change the density of the medium, I will cause the effect by adding salt. So if I can change it, because I'm the experimenter and I'm manipulating my presumed cause, my independent variable is the medium, that egg moves, I've caused it. We know the parts per million is about 300. All we need to do is pour some of this in. Hey, what do you know? The eggs immediately moved. Didn't have to wait for that, did we? So, what's the explanation? Scientific method states that the independent variable is the presumed cause, and I presumed that changing the density of the liquid with salt would cause a displacement. Newton's first law of motion states that every object will remain at rest unless acted upon by a force, and I've obviously created a force. The density of the medium has displaced the egg. The egg moved. That's an accelerating mass. So therefore, Newton states that there is a force. I caused it with this. So in scientific method, the cause of the displacement is this. I've caused it. I've manipulated it. I added the salt. It's caused something.
Well, today I'm going to be testing this out by actually floating a small styrofoam boat in liquid CO2 and then heating it to its supercritical point. It is floating. Okay, now I'm heating it up. See if we can get to supercritical pressure here. The styrofoam is dipping deeper down in it now. The line's disappearing. Whoa, and it's kind of rising up above the surface of the styrofoam. Oh, the styrofoam sunk. It sunk down in the liquid. But now I can no longer see a meniscus on top. You can't really tell where the gas and the liquid separate from each other.
Great. What did we just observe? We observed relative density, disequilibrium, full on display. What happened when he had increased the temperature of the medium? It became critical, and therefore the density had changed enough for the styrofoam to sink. So the displacement had been the driving force for the movement. The unbalanced force had been attributed by the object through the medium. This proves without a doubt mass does not attract mass, therefore the mass does not give rise to a force, but it's an unbalanced force due to the object ratio of its density to the medium. That proves without a doubt relative density disequilibrium is the real deal, and gravity is just. I think that was kind of cut and dry to show them.
I don't know, I'm trying to figure out what they're talking about in here.
All I see in chat is a whole bunch of nuh-uh, nuh-uh. Not actually coming in to defend anything, just saying nah.
I don't know what. Well, see, and this is the thing: is what is it? Just because someone told you some shit that you believe it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it because it came from school? Are you under the mistake that school was there to make you smart? Is that what you think? That school was there to make you smart? Or you're not very smart if you think that.
Mm-mm. So we got no Globus coming in.
Nobody's coming.
Oh, they're too afraid, man. You did too much of a good job explaining it.
The thing is, they've been obliterated
They-
over and over again. That's why.
Yeah.
They can't.
Well, and they're all just like that Ozian guy. You know, we might as well just go ahead and make the generalization. Should we start a Wikipedia page?
Blurf Wiki. We'll do Blurf Wiki.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what we need to do.
But we always did call him out for weird ways he dressed in that purple and stuff, and called him looking like a pimp. Did we not?
Yeah.
So it kind of came to fruition. Trying to find. By the way, I'm still waiting for Craig, Fight Flat Earth, to present his refracted hand.
Oh, yeah, that's been a couple of years now, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been like, what, 4 years? And he said it was done already. Just it was in first, Flows for Idiots or something. 4 years ago. Odd that we haven't had it yet.
It's not like he's forgot because everybody's been reminding him of it. So I don't know how he could have forgotten.
I can't stand that guy.
Nobody can.
I got a Sean Hawkins special for us on Mass Attracting Mass. If you want to watch that.
Yeah. But it's like watching Porcupine's mate.
What happens if something?
Yeah, this is funny. I just want to say thank you, David Banner, for your £2. He says, good job, Flat. I appreciate it. Appreciate all this support, man. You rock, and appreciate everybody that supports this channel. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much, David. You rock, man. Okay, watch this, guys. I think it's only like 1.5 minutes long. But thank you, Sean.
What happens if something has more mass and it floats more than something that has less mass, Flatzoid? What happens then?
The displacement shows the distribution of the pressure over the surface area to give its difference on observation. Just as you would see a huge container ship with thousands of tons able to float on the ocean, and with a bowling ball only a few kilograms able to sink. Now, if we had to flatten out that bowling ball, it would displace enough pressure over the surface that thus it will not sink. This postulation shows that it's not the mass that causes the acceleration, but the distribution based on the ratio between the object and the medium.
Like if I take a rock and drop it in the water, it weighs a pound and it sinks. But then I can take a multi-ton cruise liner and stick it in the water and it floats just fine, Flatzoid. It has more mass.
Displacement.
If I were to measure the mass between the two things, the thing that's floating has more mass than the thing that sank. So that invalidates your hypothesis right there, Flatzoid.
What did we observe? Mass does not attract mass. So what does this mean? Gravity does not exist. It's just relative density.
It's a ratio. That's what they don't get. It's a displacement ratio.
Exactly. Jeff, been a member for 23 months. Yahweh bless you too, man. Thank you for being here. I appreciate being a member for so long, man. Appreciate all the support. And then Roger as well, been a member for 16 months. He says, Bev and Aldous stick around like gravity keeps going, boys. Thank you very much for being a member. Really rock. Thank you all. And then we got Wesley in the house. What's up, Wes?
Hey guys, you were asking what the independent and dependent variables for gravity were, right?
Yes.
So the independent variables are the masses of the two objects and the distance between them, just similar to electromagnetism.
Yeah, but that's
two.
But that's two. That's two. It's not one.
That's not
It's the
one.
same thing with It's the same thing with It's the same thing with electromagnetism.
Who said anything about electromagnetism? You're talking about gravity.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah, can you hear me? So it's the
Yeah.
same thing with electromagnetic. Similar.
You're breaking up quite a lot
Did
now.
he kick me? He kicked
No,
me.
I didn't kick you. You're breaking up. No, Wes, you're breaking up. You're on screen. Okay. There he left. Why would I kick him?
No reason to kick him.
I don't know why he's bringing up electromagnetics. He's defending gravity. What's electromagnetics got to do with gravity?
Nothing.
Hopefully he comes back. Wes, I didn't kick you, man. You lost signal or something. But yeah, appreciate him coming in. Hopefully he comes in again.
There we go.
Hopefully. But did you notice he gave two independent variables? He gave mass and distance. So therefore it's not science because you require one. How do you know it's the distance or how do you know it's the mass?
Because of electromagnetism, apparently.
Don't the results have to be consistent?
Yes.
Don't you have to get consistent results? You don't ever get that with that baking dish experiment.
So sorry, I don't know what happened to my thing. You can have multiple variables if you hold it constant. If you hold one of the or all the variables except for one constant, you can sure have multiple independent variables. That's what electromagnetism is. I mean, that's how other
the independent variable is the one that you modulate in order to determine
I agree.
what it does, right? So no, you can't have multiple independent variables in an experiment.
No, I agree. In one experiment, you can't, but in magnetism, it matters about the charge and the distance between the charges. Do you agree with that? No.
I mean, do you think?
Well, you're either gonna test one or the other, and then you can.
Yeah,
come
no,
to a
I agree.
hypothesis regarding the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could have multiple variables that you could change, but you would hold.
Well, each experiment is only going to have. Well, you can have multiple variables, but you're only going to have an independent variable, one thing in each experiment. You can't have two.
No,
because
I agree.
now you're
I agree
dealing
with
with a
that.
combination. Now, what are you doing? What was it? The distance or was it the mass? Which one?
Yeah, and that's why on Earth you can't change the mass of the Earth, but you can change the mass or you can change the distance of the object that you're dropping.
Well, let me ask you this. The Cavendish experiment, all right, so we know that the scientific method starts off with first an observation in nature.
No, we're talking about the variable. I know, let's talk about the variables.
Well, wait a second. We're getting we have to get
Hold
to
on
the
a second.
experiment first.
I know, but we were past that.
Well, no, we're not past that. We never got to it because what was the observation that the Cavendish experiment was based on? What was the hypothesis based on? What was the observation? In fact, Cavendish wasn't trying to show mass attracting mass at all. He was trying to calculate the mean density of the Earth. A lot of people get that all wrong.
Can you guys hear me?
Which was crackpot shit too. Yeah. Where have anybody ever saw mass attracting mass? When have anybody ever witnessed two objects in nature that are drawing toward one another merely by volition of their existence?
I do want to point out, okay, he's dropped again. But I do want to point out quickly, guys, if you want to look at logic, okay? If we look, okay, he's back. If we look at the independent variable, okay, is the variable you manipulate or vary in an experimental study to explore its effects. It's called independent because it's not influenced by any other variable in the study. Now I want to ask you a question. If you vary the distance, does that cause a change in effect?
Yeah,
yes.
And for gravity, yes.
Okay, and if you change the variable of mass, does that also change the effect?
Yep.
So now, how do you know which one is the cause?
Both of them can change it. Just like electromagnetism.
So what's the response?
No, it's just like electromagnetism. It depends on the two charges and the distance between the two charges. In gravity, it's the mass of the two objects and the distance between the two objects.
Well, what as you dropped out before, what was the observation that this experiment was based on?
Well, see, I'll answer that, but you won't like the answer. It's mass attracting mass.
No, when has anyone ever witnessed two objects drawing together merely by volition of their existence in nature? When has anybody ever seen that?
That's what we're trying to figure out. Why do objects
Well, wait,
fall?
you don't make an experiment and then try to figure out what it matches. The experiment is based on.
No, that's exactly what the science
first you have an observation. Second, you come up with a hypothesis.
Why are things attracted to the Earth?
They're not attracted to the Earth. What makes you think things are attracted to the Earth? Only things that are heavier than the medium, they're attracted to the Earth. Again. Take the same thing that you think is attracted to the Earth and put it in water, and now it's no longer attracted to the Earth. Why?
He dropped out again.
So why do?
Oh, no.
No, I'm here. Why do electric charges attract to one another? Why isn't it the medium between them? Why can't we just say it's the medium?
Because we're dealing with an entire thing of electromagnetics, which is off topic of the subject. What about birds? What about birds drinking water? How do birds drink water? Okay, that's got as much to do with what we're talking about as what you brought up.
Okay.
Stick to the topic. So what observation in nature? What observation in nature led to that? Because if it was merely because things dropped, that would surely be dispelled by dropping something in water. Well, obviously, it's not being attracted to the Earth because the water has prevented it from going down now. And that would lead you into the other thing. So
it's also the orbits of the planets.
No, those are all. Oh, wait. Those are assumptions, and I'm going to stop you right there because nothing in the sky has a place in the realm of science. If you cannot test it, then go ahead and laugh all you want to, but all you can do is
nothing in the sky is in the realm of science.
No, it's not.
How do you manipulate things in the sky?
How do you test anything?
We're not talking. We're talking about observation. You just went to observation.
Observation is not science. Observation is a part of science.
Agreed. So we observe planets. We observe planets orbiting.
No, we don't.
That's not science.
We see lights in the sky moving.
Agreed. It's the observation. Agreed. It's the observation.
Yes,
wait. Doesn't that make an assumption that there is orbits? Isn't that begging the question?
No. We
No?
see planets. We see planets orbiting. What do you mean?
Orbiting what? What do they orbit?
They're orbiting the sun.
No, they're not. Where did you get that from?
We visibly see it happen. What are you talking about?
No, we don't visibly see that happening. You assume that's what's happening.
We observe.
Listen to me. That makes as much sense as thinking Jimmy Page's guitar is in tune because of the light show. Okay.
So then in the Cavendish, we see balls attracting each other.
No, sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't.
I can show you Cavendish. I can show you Cavendish where they don't attract each other.
Yeah.
Show us a scientific paper for that.
What do you mean?
Were you controlled for all variables? Show me that.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, controlling for all variables, because how did you negate gravity then? If you believe in gravity, how the fuck did you rule out gravity as an effect?
How do you make gravity a control? How did you control gravity?
You control the mass and the distance between them.
No. Okay, that's where you got it wrong. Sorry, I just want to quickly. That's where you got it wrong.
You're going to say
if you're
claiming
mass,
independent
if you're
variable?
claiming mass is it wait, if you're claiming mass is an independent variable, that means the distance has to be controlled and gravity itself has to be controlled.
No.
Now, if you're claiming the distance
gravity,
is the independent variable, the mass has to be controlled and gravity has to be controlled.
No.
So what is gravity, first of all?
No, gravity doesn't have to be controlled. Because
Yes, it
gravity is the effect.
Well, wait a second.
No,
what's holding the Cavendish apparatus?
No, it's not. Not of mass attracting mass.
What is causing the Cavendish experiment to be on the table, for instance? Okay, you've got the little apparatus sitting there. What's making it set on the table? Gravity, right? That's what you believe. It's gravity. And the little balls, the reason they have weight, according to you, is due to gravity. So how did you negate gravity as an effect on your Cavendish experiment?
Because the force of gravity is down. The Cavendish is no. Hold on, let me finish. The Cavendish is horizontal. Why doesn't RDD? Why doesn't your whatever RDE? Why doesn't it go sideways?
Wait.
Gravity is shown to go sideways in Cavendish.
No, RED shows it. But I'm saying, you know the right-hand rule.
No, how does it?
You know what the right-hand rule is?
Hold on. Why does
I'm explaining. You know what the right-hand rule is?
Yeah.
The vector gives a perpendicular 90, correct?
Yep.
Of force. Correct?
From what? What? Not for gravity.
Well, that's what your Cavendish is hinging on.
You're
hinging on torque vectoring based on the right-hand rule.
You're mixing up electromagnetism, dude. Right-hand rules
Nothing to do with electromagnetism. It's got to do with torque vectoring. There you go. Self thanks.
Torque vectoring, not in gravity.
All right, watch. Here's your gravity going sideways, and it's not mass attracting mass. Watch.
We have a balloon that's floating, a balloon that's just hanging in the air. And we're going to see if there's any difference. And what do you think? Will there be a difference?
I don't know. I think that maybe this one will be a little bit more grounded. I don't know. That's just that's my hypothesis.
Let's try it. Sarah, and punch it. All right, emergency stop. Yeah. Did you see what we did? Right? When we accelerated, we got pushed backwards, essentially, but the balloon went forward.
It did. It went forward.
What's going on?
I don't know. Is it just because of the weight of what's inside, the gas?
You're on the right track.
Okay.
This van is filled with gas.
Air.
Air.
Yeah.
Sarah, go ahead and punch it again. Goes forward. Emergency stop. Quick. Goes back.
Wow.
Okay. The air inside of the van is actually at rest. When she accelerates, more air gets back here, and up front where they are, there's a little bit less air.
And is that why
It's
the
a little bit
balloon
less
is
dense.
drawn that way?
Yeah. Helium balloons float upwards into the upper atmosphere because it's less dense higher that you go.
Huh.
Okay, so it's trying to find a place where the density of the air is equal to its density, which
And it
is
can do that quickly.
yeah. Do it again, Sarah. One more time. And then stop fast. All the way back. It's just so
As
cool.
I'm thrown forward,
As
the
you're
balloon's
thrown
coming back
the
at
balloon
me.
goes back. So we're going to actually try going through a loop-de-loop up here and see what happens when we go in a circle with our balloons.
Okay.
So look, take us around this loop pretty quick.
I love this.
Look and turn fast.
And they go in opposite
Opposite
directions.
And the line connecting them almost even looks the same.
It does.
All right, punch it. Goes forward and give a stop. And it goes back. Good thing you're wearing the seatbelt.
Yeah, and you can hear my emergency pull in there.
You can think of it as, when you climb in a bathtub and you swash the water around, and let's say you put a rubber ducky in and you swash it. That
So you're
water
adding
moves the rubber ducky. That's the air
force.
moving the. Sorry, I'm coming now, guys.
What happened? Uh-oh. I don't know where everybody went. Everybody left me. Everybody left me. I don't know what to do. But yeah, as you can see, when they changed, there was a sideways movement with it. What was that? Mass attracting mass? Was it the mass of the car attracting the mass of the balloon? No, it's not. Nobody's ever witnessed that in nature before. Two objects drawing together merely by volition of their existence. And the only time they say, well, we witnessed it when we looked up into Narnia land and assumed that the lights in the sky were balls of terra firma.
But that's the funny thing as well. They don't actually observe orbiting. I mean, they literally just see see if I can get these two DVDs. Okay? Passing one another like this. Now that's orbiting apparently to them. They're just correlating things based on a belief. It's as simple as that. And that's what we brought up with Newton's Principia when he made that statement that he deduced that planets are orbiting. It's based on a belief.
Yeah. He assumed that they were orbiting. That's where it all comes down to right there. It's basic, and you find a lot of that. And I love it how they laugh when you say none of that shit is in the realm of science. Oh, yes it is. No, it's not. Well, how do you test any of it? 1,000 years ago, men were standing outside at night looking up at the stars and making up stories about what they saw. And here we are in 2025, and you're still looking up at the sky, making up stories about the shit you see.
But like we're trying to put out to Wes though. It's like, okay, fine. You say mass attracts mass. Now you're saying the independent variable is mass. Great. So now you're going to control the distance and you're going to control gravity. How are you going to do that? Okay, let's say now you're going to control the mass, but you're going to manipulate the distance. How are you going to control gravity? You can't, because this is why I asked, what is gravity? They can't tell me what gravity is.
Right.
Now they say gravity is the effect. So Cavendish isn't caused by gravity then. If Cavendish isn't caused by gravity, then why are you bringing Cavendish up as the cause for gravity? If you say Cavendish was giving the effect of gravity. So in other words, Cavendish caused gravity, guys. Not gravity caused the Cavendish. Cavendish caused gravity. Really bad.
Good old bacon dish.
That's why I'm saying hopefully this year I can do my Cavendish 2.0, because it's going to do what Cavendish should have done.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm probably gonna have to put up a GoFundMe for that, because I need a vacuum chamber, which I don't have. Yeah, I just need some funds for it first, because all my money is going for baby and children and all that nonsense. So it's not going to cost that much though. And then obviously for the materials needed to build it, because I need to make quite it at least has to be a decent sized vacuum chamber. It can't be too small. But yeah, I'm excited to do Cavendish 2.0, because it's how Cavendish should have done it. Neglected gravity, in other words, guys. But it's good to see everybody in the YouTube lands. Please hit the likes, share the show. You guys rock. Appreciate you all. No other Globies wanting to come in and discuss with us for the last 15 minutes?
They won't ever come in, man. They never will come in. They're afraid. That's all right.
I see Pentalica, you are number 1 on the community at the moment. You surpassed Derek second, Aldebes third.
Well, it's the amount of effort and stress that these people actually go through to try to hang on to this nonsensical belief. It's like, oh, there's no way that could be. They come up with excuses and everything else, and it's like, look, you're really overcomplicating the simple. Really completely overcomplicating it. And there's no need for that. Don't you feel better when you realize that there's not going to be big fucking rocks from space coming and flying and killing you, and no aliens are coming from a distant planet to assimilate you, and all this other crap?
But that's the thing why we laugh when they say, oh, aliens, and they worry about all these, asteroids coming. It's going to be near misses, and you're like, wow, why are you guys stressing about this nonsense? It's all just, but that shows you just have a belief system in nonsense.
I'll tell you, I don't confuse anything, Mr. Groovehouse. I don't confuse anything. So that's you. That's your assumption and your projection. This is why you guys get so bent out of shape. So you believe this horse shit, and somebody said, "You know what? You're really smart for believing that horse shit." And you said, "Oh, yeah, I'm smart. Yep, here's a little piece of paper. See, I'm smart." No, you wasn't smart. School is not a place for smart people. Trust me.
I actually got another video I made for Dell for his challenge that he gave me, like 3 minutes long. And because they're like, "Oh, you can't, RDD doesn't have a force. You can't do anything with it." You know, the normal. What's up, Luca? How's it going, man?
Hello. I'm going good.
Did you sleep a bit late tonight?
I did. I had a decent sleep. No.
That's good, man. Yeah, it's good if you get some sleep. You can't wake up at 4 a.m. every morning.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. But anyway, watch this video quickly.
I
want you to be honest with everybody, your audience, everybody. I want you to type 1 or type 2 in here, or make a video, or go on anybody's live and actually answer this question. Is it an unbalanced force which causes the movement, which would be a number 1? Or is it your type in chat, guys, of an acceleration is what causes the movement, number 2? It's up to you, Dal.
The forces on the tennis balls are equal. They are not moving. When the tennis balls are struck by an unbalanced force, it causes them to move.
Do you understand that, Dal? So what causes the acceleration, guys? Type 1 in chat if it's an unbalanced force that causes the acceleration, that causes the movement, or is it 2 in chat, acceleration causes the movement, before we carry on. Dylan Heron says 1. He says unbalanced forces. Okay, that's good. Who else? Let's see. There we go. Another 1. Dal, come on, you give a go. Is it going to be 1 or 2? Kevin says 1 as well. Lemon, are you going to do a 1 or 2? How about you, Mr. Dal? Dal, force is something in motion. You see, guys, this is my issue. Look at this. This is his reply to type 1 if it's unbalanced force causing the motion, or type 2 if it is acceleration causing it. This is what I get. Force is something in motion, derp. So insulting as well. He is intentionally ignorant, Dylan. Exactly. He is being very shell-like, Cole. I agree, because it's simply 1 or 2. So Dal has yet to type in 1 if it's an unbalanced force that causes the movement according to physics, Newton's first law of motion, or 2, moving causes moving as he claims it to be. You see, he's not going to answer this because he knows if he types 2, he'll be shown to be an outright idiot and ignoring physics. If he types 1, he will be making my point, and therefore his argument is muted. Share this far and wide to every person that agrees with Dal on this. And yes, this is everybody, Nachikita and QNFi and Jake the Asshole and this whole Daltardian cult group that seems to want to just insult everybody because they don't agree with these guys, which literally are ignoring physics. So this is a challenge to everyone that supports this Daltardian cult. You come and tell me, or anybody, is it an unbalanced force which causes the acceleration? Or is it acceleration which causes the acceleration? Is it moving because it's moving? Or is it because the force?
The force.
And by the way, till this day, they haven't answered me.
They won't. They won't.
Well, so what do you say it is? Do you say it's unbalanced or balanced?
Unbalanced.
I'd agree. Yeah. Yeah, so what was imbalance again? Was it 2 or 1?
1.
1. Okay, so I'd type 1. It's unbalanced. But by itself, it's unbalanced. Because gravity acts downward, so...
No,
it
gravity
pulls
doesn't.
Downward,
you don't get it. It's got nothing to do with gravity.
But you said it's... Oh, wait, did you say acceleration or gravity?
He believes acceleration causes causes acceleration.
So, so you weren't on about gravity.
Well, I just got to let you know. You know, your globe also claims that there's an acceleration of Earth that causes the gravity. General relativity says this.
There's an acceleration of Earth that causes gravity?
Yep.
That's the claim.
I don't see how that makes sense.
Okay, I'm going to play you. I'm going to play you something quickly. Then you can see. Keep his statement on screen while Brian Cox says it to him again. Okay.
Apple doesn't hit Newton on the head because the Earth pulls the apple down. The apple hits Newton on the head because Newton accelerates upwards and headbutts the apple. One more time. Just in case. Just in case Dal doesn't understand. Apple doesn't hit Newton on the head because the Earth pulls the apple down. The apple hits Newton on the head because Newton... Get it?
That's retarded.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that one.
What? It's retarded, eh? And that's unfortunately what you guys believe. The globe is, you guys have to believe that. That's general relativity.
It's the wrong way of putting it. So yes, it's wrong to say that we accelerate up and headbutt the apple. Yes, I'd say that's wrong. Yeah.
No, but that's general relativity, man.
It's the wrong way of describing it. Then.
How else would you describe it, though?
Well, the curvature of space-time is a better way.
That's based on the curvature of space-time.
It's hard to
It's claiming straight paths take a curved geodesic through space.
It's not. It's a much.
It is fine, Luca.
It doesn't get into the nitty gritty of it.
Obviously, that was just a cut to show, but yeah. What's up, misinformation agent? What's up?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm okay, thank you. What do you have to say about your gravity not existing?
I don't even want to talk about gravity. I want to talk about the earlier clip. I was just wondering, do you enjoy to look like a fucking moron on the internet?
The internet? What's the internet? Oh, wee, poo, internet.
Shame. This is all globies have, guys.
Go stuff some brie up your nose, idiot.
Let me put it this way. Misinformation agent. The only one looking like a total moron was you because you came in to insult instead of give an argument.
Well, this is what these people do when they know they're wrong. All they can do is cry. And this guy is extremely wrong.
So yeah, it's sad. That's what globies do, guys. Remember, I gave him an opportunity now to present his evidence. What he did, insulted.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, well, that is the time for today. Sorry, Luca, that you came in so late.
Yeah, I got here a bit late.
Yeah, you're late. We're marking you down for that too.
Oh, absolutely. I hope that doesn't affect my grade.
It is going to affect your grade. There's nothing you can do about it. You
No.
use some extra credit work now.
So yeah, I just want to give a little plug for Saturday, guys. Satan's short season roundtable chat. Is it a relical? Hope you guys will be there. It's going to be at 11 Central African time.
Headbutting, yeah.
Going to be exciting. Really looking forward to this discussion. Just make sure you guys come. It's a members only chat, so make sure you're a member so you can be in the chat. But yeah, really, really exciting stuff. Saturday, 11 o'clock Central African time. We're going to have a great Satan Sword season discussion.
Yeah, headbutting does give you a vivid picture of it in a way, and yeah, it's actually not. It's not too far off how general relativity reframes that story of the Newton and the apple and stuff. We rise up and headbutt the apple.
I bet that Newton apple thing never really even happened.
Well, that's the thing.
I mean,
some people say the actual story was he was looking at the moon go down on the horizon and he wondered why it went down. Other people said it was an apple. Yeah, I've heard that. I'm saying other people said it was an apple. Other people said it was a twig. But the most common story is the apple.
The apple didn't fall on Newton's head. It
just fell off the tree.
That's wrong.
Yeah, it just fell off the tree.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I said it's wrong. So, it didn't hit him on the head. So that's wrong.
That's a story. It's awful interesting that it was an apple in 1666.
An apple falling is cliche, so I'd agree with apples falling because apples do fall.
Apple, Adam and Eve, 1666.
Apples do fall.
A lot of symbolism. A lot of symbolism.
Yep.
But apples do fall off trees.
Of course they do.
So.
Of course they do. So do peaches. So do grapefruit. So do oranges. Do
why wasn't it a coconut tree or a peach tree, as you said? Yeah, or an orange. Come on. Why specifically?
Maybe
a red apple specifically.
Maybe where he was, it was an apple tree. Like his location on Earth.
The symbolism totally escapes you, doesn't it, Luca?
What?
You don't
What's
see
the symbolism of an apple tree?
A red apple is symbol.
Yeah. What's the symbol of?
Fall of man.
Fall of man. Adam and Eve. The serpent. 1666 was the year. 666.
Everything
all
has
coincidence.
a meaning,
all just coincidence. That's all. Everything's coincidence.
Coincidence.
Anyway, DD just came in as we're closing. Sorry, man. You want to say something before we close?
No, I'll come in another time. I want to talk about balanced and unbalanced forces because I think there's a slight misconception there, but it's for another time.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely do another stream on this, and then we're great having you in then.
Yeah, gravity. Oh, yeah. Can I say this about gravity? Real quick. Like a minute. Okay, so gravity by itself is an unbalanced force. But if you have another force that counteracts gravity, that would create a balanced force. So, yeah. So, gravity can be a balanced force as well if another force counters it, making it balanced. So yeah, that's all I had to say. Goodbye, everyone.
Sure, thanks for coming, Luca. Appreciate it, man.
Good night, Flatzoid.
Good night, man. Have a great day. All right. So yeah, the votes came up to 112 votes, and we ended the poll now. Let's see. It's no signs for gravity. Yes, 50%, and no 46%, and not sure 3%. Exciting. Sov, are you going to have a show?
Not tonight. I did one last night. I'm going to chill tonight. I got up this morning. I was tired as hell. Luckily, we had a pretty easy day.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sure you're happy you're done with all that other work.
Oh yeah, we're getting ready to. We're looking at bidding on doing a framing of a place here in over in Luray. So that hopefully we'll get that too.
Nice. And then DD, you have any closing statements?
No, not really.
Well, it was great having you guys here. Appreciate everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow night. And yeah, many blessings, and may the pressure be with you.